this is lesson 7.3, slope. And the thing you need to know about slope is that every line has a slope. Sounds a little bit like that song by Poison, every rose has its thorn. Well, every line has its slope. And so when you think of slope, you can kind of think of the incline of a plane. When you are going up a hill, you're going to be walking slower versus if you're walking down the hill. It's got a steeper slope going up. Well, the slope is the same, but depending on which direction you're going determines the sign on your slope. So let me explain that. Let's imagine that there is a little man on this road. And remember, you're always walking forward. Never retreat, always forward. So we're always going to be walking from left to right. So this guy is going in this direction. And he's sweating hard because he's going up the mountain. So that's got a positive slope. Now here, the man is, once again, he's always going forward. So we're going to be going this way. And he has it easy now because he's going downhill. It's got a negative slope. Now this guy, bless his heart, he's fallen and he has just died. When you have a vertical line, when you graph a vertical line in math, the way that I know of it means you just tried to divide by 0, and everything explodes in math when you try to do such a thing. And so this slope is called undefined. So once again, we have a positive slope, a negative slope, undefined slope, and now this is a horizontal line. It's easy going for this guy. He's walking that way. And this has a slope of 0. Slope equals 0. All right, so the slope is used by the symbol m, or represented by the symbol m. And the slope is defined as the rise over the run, where the rise is the change in y, and the run is the change in x. Written in mathematical symbols, we can use delta y over delta x. That simply means, if you were to see this, you'd read it change in y over change in x. If you're trying to calculate the slope, you can use this formula. Your change in y. When you're trying to find the change in something, if you have 5 gadgets and you have 3 were taken away from you, what is your change in gadgets? 5 minus 3. So your change in y, you're simply going to take your second y and subtract your first y. In your change in x, you're going to take your second x from your second point and subtract the first x. So you'll find 2 points on the line, 2 xy points, and the second y value, I'm sorry, the first y value you'll subtract from your second y value, and the first x value you'll subtract from your x value. We're going to walk through some examples if that doesn't make sense. So to find the slope of the line, actually let's go back and remember division rules. Remember, a fraction is just a picture of division, okay? So if you have change in y over change in x and you end up with a positive rise over a positive run, you'll end up with a positive number. if you have a negative rise over a negative run, negative divided by negative is positive. Sorry, you'll have a positive. Then if you have a negative divided by positive, negative rise over a positive run, you'll get a negative number. If you have a positive rise divided by a negative run, you're going to get a negative number. So to find the slope of the line, let's look at the purple line here first. We have 2 points with a line going through them. Remember, every line needs 2 points. And so we have -1, 2, and then -3, 2, -2. This we would remember going forward, always moving forward. This would be x1, y1, and this would be x2, y2. So to find the slope of the line, we could go y2 minus y1, y2 minus y1, minus a -2, so minus a -2, 2 minus a -2, over x2 is -1, minus a -3, minus a -3. This is going to become 2 plus 2, excuse me, and -1 plus 3, negative, minus a negative is always going to give me a positive. So this equals 4 over 2, which reduces to 2. So I have a slope of 2. There's another way you can find it if you are looking at the graph. You can plug it into the formula like we just did, or you can calculate your rise over your run. My rise is my change in y. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then my change in run is 1, 2. So I have, excuse me. So I went up 4, so that's going to be a positive 4. And then I went right, even though I'm still in the negative numbers right here, I moved right. So that's going to be positive direction. So this is plus 2. So I put that into my formula of rise over run, 4 over 2, which reduces to 2. Either way, I get the same value for the slope. Excuse me. All right, now let's look at this green. This green one. I'll do it up here. Remember, we're always going forward, always go forward. So this would be x1, y1. This would be x2, y2. So I'll go 1 minus 3 over 5 minus 2. This becomes a -2 over 3. And that becomes my slope, -2/3. Then you can also come up with it doing this method. You're going to go down 1, 2. Since I'm going down, I'm going in the negative direction, so this is a -2. And then I'm going right 1, 2, 3. So this is a +3. And so then I do my rise, -2, over my run, +3. and I get the same number. All right. Excuse me. The last example to look at is we can graph a line given the slope and a point. So if I have, let me erase this. If I have this point graphed, I would go, this is my x value and my y value. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 on my x-axis, and then up to 1, 2 on my y-axis, and I get this point 3, 2. And then I'm told that my slope is 2. And what do I do with that? I need an x and a y. Remember, any whole number has a implied denominator of 1. So my change in y is 2. I'm going to go down 2. I'm sorry, it's positive 2, not negative. So I'm going to go up 2, and then I went up 2, and then right 1, because it's a positive 1, and I get my new point of 4, 4. Now I have 2 points, and that is what is needed. That is what is needed to graph. The line. So I draw my line through those 2 points. I add my arrows for the line, and I just graph the line given the slope and a point. All right, well, good luck with your work.